Okay, great. As you remember last week, I said to you that we're going to be working on something that's unisex. And with this, we need two shirts or two t-shirts. So if you're working on two shirts, what you end up with is, two shirts that look the same but not quite the same. So it's cutting them right down the sides and then putting them back together. It's a very straightforward, easy thing. So today I have a white shirt and a pink shirt. So it's not a very huge contrast, but it is, in terms of pastels, it's brilliant, especially this time of the year, that you have something that's easy to wear in the sunshine. And I'm using my husband's shirts, which he doesn't know I'm using, so don't tell him. Right, okay, so we take our shirts and lay them one on top of the other. If you take the largest one and put it at the bottom, if they are the same size, just keep them together. And then what you do is you make sure your shirt, like mine, your two shirts, are exactly in the same position, one on top of the other, all the way flat out on the table like this, making sure that your buttons are in the same position. Just make sure like that, same position everywhere. So everything matches all the way to the sides like that. Okay, then what you then do, so I'll just move this along like this. I've already cut away one side, but just ignore that. I just needed to make sure that I had enough space to show you what I was working on. So then, what you then do is take your tape measure and mark a point on the shoulders here, shoulders there, like that. And my point is about 9 centimeters. So you put a pin there. Take a pin and put it in place, and do the same on the other side. 9 centimeters, put another pin in place. So what you then do is you measure the distance from the center of your collar inside your shirt to that point where you have the pin there. You might have to force things down just to make sure. And when you do that, that gives you the distance from the center of your shirt to that point on your shoulder. And that will help you mark it all the way down the bottom of the shirt. So when you do that, so I have about 17 centimeters. And then, because you've buttoned up your shirt all the way down, and you've got the two shirts, one on top of the other, you have exactly the same, you'll be marking the same position through the two shirts, because this is important, so that you make sure when you've cut through, you have the same point to join the two shirts together. Right, so you take your tape measure using the button points down the shirt to mark a position with a pin, the same centimeters that you have measured from your shoulder, center neck to your shoulder. You take the same and you mark it with a pin in place all the way down the shirt. So use the button point as your marker. So you do it on one side, you mark it all the way down the shirt. You take a pin in place using the buttons and just keep making sure that your shirt your shirt is flat on the table by putting your hands to just make sure, just run your hands along the shirt to make sure that everything is flat underneath there. And don't worry if it's not quite all very perfect, because this is all an experiment. And sometimes, it doesn't have to be exact, but you'll get what you're looking for in the end. We'll get a good result. So keep going. all the way down the front of the shirt to the bottom. So you've marked one side now, and now we go to the other side. I've already cut mine away, but just don't worry, do the same. Just imagine mine is still there. So you measure all the way from the top here, centimeters, mark it like that, put your pins in place. Now the pins do two things. You have to put the pin right through so that you can grab hold of the one at the bottom, the shirt at the bottom, and you have to link them both together using the pins to secure them so that they don't move, and then it will make you be able to have a straight line there, so you can use that as your cutting line. So you take that all the way, you pin, same position, all the way down to the bottom. Okay, now once that is done, we're ready to do the cutting. Right, so you take your scissors. If you need to be more sure that you've marked it correctly, you can take the ruler and you can mark, you can take a pencil and you can lightly, just lightly mark, draw a line or just put some markings in place so that you have your straight line that you need to cut all the way down. Okay? Right, once that is done, we're ready to do our cutting. So you take your scissors and then I'm going to cut inside of the pins. So you cut all the way down. Mine's got a bit of a bump there, so I'm just making sure that it's flat. So you come all the way to the top. So if you've cut the side where the pocket is, don't worry, because you still have enough bit of a pocket. If your position is the same as mine, you will have, I had about 17 centimeters. So I didn't cut right in the middle of my pocket. But even though you cut right in the middle of your pocket, don't worry about it, because the point is we're creating something new, so that will just be a feature on your shirt or whatever you choose to make it in the end. Because what happens is you end up with two shirts or two tops, two blouses. So what you have now, if you take away the pins that you've put in place, I want to work on the pink shirt first. So I will take the one in the middle, I'll take away the one at the bottom, just fold it away carefully like that, so that everything stays in place. And then I'll keep this one on the table. And then I will keep the white sleeves, because that's what I need. And I'll put the pink ones away. So now, if you look at what I have now, I have a pink and white shirt. So I'm not sure what colors you're working with, but it must be a contrast now at this point. So at this point, what we're going to do is to leave our white sleeves to the side like that and focus on this part here. So we're going back to the collar, and at this point you decide whether you want to do the first thing we did in the first class workshop that we did. We had we took away the top part of the collar, so you can decide to go for that, but depending on what your shirt looks like under the collar, that will dictate. Mine doesn't look so good, so I will take away, I will do the second phase, which was take it all the way down to Okay, I'll do the first one so that we can repeat that. So I'll cut away my collar very carefully at this point where the collar makes the collar stand. And I will do this like that. If you're working on a shirt or a blouse that has no collar, then you don't have to worry about this phase here. But I just thought we'd do this because the lighter what you're working with is, the easier it is to handle. When you have a collar in place, it adds weight to what you work to the rest of the shirt, and that will make it heavy to deal with. So right, I've taken that off. That's given me a mandarin collar. There. There. Okay. So then what we do, we go back, you can open up your shirt now, take the buttons out like this, so that you have an open thing to work with. That'll be easier to handle. And then what we now do is we take this shoulder part of the sleeve part of the shirt that we cut away, the white shirt. Mine is the white one. And we join it at the point of the other shirt. Now, what I have here is they don't quite match up in terms of the yoke there doesn't quite match up. What you do is you get it at the point where it was, when it was lying flat on the table. I don't want to put a notch in there, so I'll put a pin there. A notch is a little cut into the fabric just to mark the point where you are. I will put a pin there because I at this point, I think I want to have raw seams. Now, the raw seams are usually on the outside so that it looks like a rugged finish, but that's intentional because I want it to be a feature on this. So I will then mark on the other side the same point at the shoulders so that we do have something similar that will join the other side, the sleeve to the main structure, main body of the shirt. So do the same on the other side. Mark the point so that it's identical to the other side so that you have them. So you fold it over like this and then just put your pin in place so that you have the same place there and there. And then do the same to the other side, just making sure that your points are identical. So you take that, fold it together, put a pin in place to make sure that you're in the same place on the other side as well. So just make sure that your sleeves are the right, you have the left sleeve in the right place and the right sleeve in the right place because you could get mixed up. Okay, so now I've got this. Now I start from the top here and I join the two like this. So once you join the two like this, you can put a pin in place just to make sure you have marked, that's your starting point there. So I'm going to put a pin in place, marking about almost a centimetre in, just then I will decide when I'm stitching it what to do. So then you go all the way down. At this point, my pockets are not matching up, but it doesn't matter. The idea is to pin it all together, hold it up and look at it, and then decide what you want to do. Because once you have pins in place, it gives you a clear idea what it will look like finished. So just put some pins all the way down because this will be your stitching line. But if you're already sure that you want to stitch it the right way, so you have your seams on the inside, then you can pin it the other way so that you can have your seams on the inside. But remember, you still have the other part, you know, the opposites that you still have to put together. So you can have one of the shirts as a raw seamed finish, and then the other one can be a clean finish. Usually with shirts that are well made, they are French seams in place. That would be French seams everywhere. So if you're going to do a seam on the inside, it would have to be a French seam. But who's going to be looking inside? you can do what, do what's easy. We are just having a bit of experimentation and trying to see what we can do with our old clothes. So that's what you have to keep in mind, not to get too serious with it. Okay, so I have my pins all the way down that side. I'm going to go all the way to the back. So the idea is the confidence to actually cut through, knowing, having an idea what the result is going to be and working towards that idea. So we'll just do the one side and have a look at it, because you can do all of this on your own. So this is what I have. This is what I have at the moment. Pink and white. And it's all the seams are on the outside. So I'll definitely finish this with seams on the outside. And then once you've done that, you can see you've got your mandarin collar there. You've got your, sleeve there on the other side. Then you can apply all the other things that we were talking about, which we've already done. Decide what length you want your sleeve to be. If you want to keep the sleeve long, but maybe make it short, you can add some, pleating steps, but that's maybe too complicated. Let's leave that. Just cut it to the length you want it to be, and then you can put, like we did before, a hem in place. Now, once you've done the other side and decided you want your sleeve a certain length, you take your tape measure and cut, and remember the steps that we did in the last class, where we took a tape measure, measured from our shoulder, from the neckline, to the point that we wanted, beneath the collar stand, just at that point, you measure just there, take your tape measure and decide how long you want your sleeve to be. So I've decided I want it to be 42. So at 42 there, I will then take my 42 centimeters, I'll take my tape measure and measure it from the bottom of the cuff there, and it's 36. So you take that measurement, take it to the other side and put another pin in place. That way you are not having any confusion as to which way you're going to be cutting, and you just create a straight line there by taking your ruler and joining the 2 points together, marking that through and then cutting. And once you've cut that, that will be the length of your sleeve. So today I'm going to decide that maybe I want the sleeve a little bit longer until I'm fed up with it. So I'm going to cut it about 14 centimeters from the bottom, so I still have a bit of something to play with. So I'm going to cut it there and there. So that is 13. Yeah, okay, so I'm going to cut it now. So my shirt is going to be a bit of a long sleeve, mandarin collared, raw seamed finish. So that's this one. So I'll quickly go to the other one. So we'll put that aside and we're going to quickly have a look at the other one. So the other one now is the white center. It's a white middle with pink sides. Now I can go crazy with this, or I can be very tame. Now with this one, because the collar is a bit tired, so this is the one that I feel I'm going to be cutting down to the same point, with the same idea of what we did last week. using the same idea as last week. So you do the same thing. You mark the top of the shoulder with a pin. Do the same on the other side, like that. So I'm not going to cut this away. Now, this is really lovely because I have the sides longer than, you know, they're not the same length. So that means the other shirt is the same. But I'm going to keep that. I'm going to keep that as a quirky detail, design detail that will make this quite a unique finish. I won't cut this to match up to this. I will leave it like this because I think it's quite interesting like this. And this is where you have to kind of think, you know, this is very much, we're going now down to a bit of interesting detail. And I think this is one feature that I really want to keep. So you might think about that if you have the same thing happening with yours. So then we go back to the shoulders, mark that through. So once your pins are in place, then you know that you put these sleeves aside, and then we focus on that collar part. So I kind of like automatically know how I want this, using the same idea of last week. So if you want to be very sure that you're doing it correctly, take your shirt from last week and use it to mark this so that it's easier that way, so that you get it right. So remember what we did, we put the 2 points together, pinned them in place. So just make sure that your collar is in the right place. So you mark your point below the collar there, 1 centimeter below the collar, in the back of the shirt there, and then in the side seams, I think it was about 1.5 or 2 centimeters. So I'm just using I have an idea what 2 centimeters is, and then you come to the front and it's about 2 centimeters as well. Like that. So we have enough here to do nice, neat hem there and still have a good finish there. So then I'm going to cut away here really quickly. Just remember, even though you make a mistake, it doesn't matter. This is something that no one has ever done. No one knows what you started working with. So no one is going to be saying it's not perfect, it doesn't look right. Anything goes. So there you are. So I have my neckline without the collar. It's all gone. And then what we then do is we then take the other side, take the sleeves and start the process. What might help, if you think it's easier, this time we could change it a little bit. We could shorten the sleeves before we join them so that it's easier to mark them without having to worry about where the shoulders that we are. So if you put your sleeves like that on the table and flatten them out, just make sure they're perfectly on top of one another. If you have to put pins in place to secure them, and make sure that they are not going to move until you finish cutting, do that. And then with this one, I think I'll go for a mid, you know, something like a in between a short and long sleeve. Oh, mid cuff. Let's see. So you measure from the top, from the bottom of your cuff there, and you come to your shoulder there. And I think for me, it's going to be about 34 centimeters from the bottom. So there. So if you decide, you can have it much shorter. I'm wearing one now that I brought all the way up to become quite a short sleeve. So you could do the same. I'm kind of trying to give a bit of variety so that I'm not doing things that are similar to what I've done before. So yeah, so I'm going to go for this length here. So you do that, and once you've done that, measure, the same steps as we did before, measure from the bottom of the sleeve, or bottom of the cuff, all the way to there, so that's 17 centimeters, and then cut that away. And once you've cut that away, then you start the process of joining this from the top. So you do the same thing as we did with the other one. You join from the top, mark with your pins, put the two together, and with this one I think I'm going to finish it properly. So the seams are going to be on the inside. So I'm going to do it inside out like this. So you turn it inside out and then you join them together. So you do that, and then when you're done, what you're going to end up with is something. With the fasten we did, it will be something similar to this. And then with the second one that I've just done now, I won't have this collar there, and my sleeve will be a bit shorter than this. But the idea is you can then change your buttons, you can add things to this, you can have pink buttons on the white shirt, you can have the white buttons on the pink shirt, you can just take them away from, cut the buttons off, move them so that you have the pink shirt, pink buttons here, move to the white shirt, and then the white buttons move to the pink shirt. Or you can even have, totally different buttons. There are no rules. You decide what you want to do. You're making this your own exciting, finished fashion upcycle, so that you can, turn heads or make statements wherever you're going with it. But this is perfect for the summer, the perfect thing to wear. Barbecue, can throw it over your, if you're going to the seaside, your bikini, your swimsuit. And for the men, it's something that works really well as well, depending on how you want to wear it, whether you want to wear it with, shorts. And you can actually, this is something you can dress up or dress down. So you decide what you want to do. You can cut it down the middle like we did the one last week, and, keep moving it on. So there are no limits. There's so much you can get out of just this, just the t-shirts that we're working with today. Next week, it's another upcycle that's going to be unisex as well. So this is going to be one of those shirts, and we can talk about variations on the finish there. So this is something that we can all be able to share.